All right. Welcome, everybody, to Premier Virtual's first webinar of 2022. We have a phenomenal group of panelists here today. We got a couple that are just waiting to get on, but we're exciting. A lot of things happened in 2021 with recruiting. And today, we do these things a lot different on our webinars to really kind of benefit you as guests out there, right? It's not always about, hey, here's Premier Virtual and what we can do for all of you. Today, we want to talk about the recruiting trends of 2022. What's hot, what's not, what are they doing out there? We have the panelists here. I'm going to let them introduce. Some of them I've known for over a decade. That I've known through recruiting, from small things that I met at networking events, to people that I see at every place that I go out there. Phenomenal group of panelists. So, I'm going to start with Liz. I've known you the longest, Liz. Thank you for joining, coming from, recruiting. You've recruited for recruiting firms, major companies, small companies. Now you're in corporate America. Give us a little 30-second about Liz.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Tobin, and to Steve's point, I have been in recruiting and talent acquisition longer than I'd like to say. I started off at Robert Half, was there for 7 years, and then I've worked for companies like Office Depot. I'm at CHG Healthcare now. I'm going on 4 years next month, and it would take an act of Congress to get me out of there. I absolutely love it. I think we're really known for our culture, our servant leadership, gym on site. We have an on-site medical facility, just an amazing, amazing company. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. And we're going to talk about, one of the things with you, right, is culture. We're going to talk about that later. So next up, we have Nicole, author of, HR is Sexy. I've met Nicole, ran into her at quite a few events, and she's out there really talking about recruiting, what's going on, and, excited to have her as well. Nicole, can you give a quick little 30 seconds about you?
Hi, I'm Nicole Anderson with Mend HR Solutions and Mend Recruiting. We're an HR solutions and recruiting firm in West Palm Beach, Florida. I've been in the HR and recruiting business for over 15 years. And in the summer of 2021, I released my first book, HR is Sexy, Revolutionizing HR. One of the sections in that book is called Hiring Culture, and we're hoping to release that its own book beginning in 2022. We focus on how to do things different. We're not your typical HR firm or your typical recruiting firm. So we take our clients out of their comfort zone and move them into a different way to recruit and a different way to look at their HR solutions.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Next up, we have Daisy. Now, Daisy, you and I have not had the pleasure to meet, but I know the owner of Daisy's company out there, again, has been, all over the place, is out there recruiting on what they do. It does something that, I've never really seen. I mean, when you talk about branding an organization, Eli and Expanse, that they do it from the trucks to, the cars that are branded. He's done a phenomenal job. So Daisy, can you give us a quick little 30 seconds about you? Daisy, you're on mute if you're speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, my microphone wasn't working. I'm Daisy. I'm from Expand Staffing. We are located in Sunrise, but we work all over Florida and also in other states like Tennessee, Alabama. We're all over the place. We are now in high demand, trying to help all of our businesses getting some more talent and some more workers.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Daisy. So, I think, everybody wants to know and everybody hears about, right, the right talent is getting that out there. And yesterday I was at lunch with a friend I hadn't seen in a while. And, he said, Steve, I need to find the right talent. And I go, okay, well, what do you mean the right talent? And he got into it, and I go, well, what are you doing to look at this? And he's like, well, it's not a platform that I'm looking for, it's the right talent. And he kept saying platform, right? Because he knew what I did. And I said, well, you use job boards, right? And he goes, yes. And I go, each one of those is a platform as well. So what's the right one that you're using? But it's people aren't thinking about the future. They've only done things the wrong way. But I think, personally, one of my things I talk about a lot in recruiting is culture. And I really built my organization on culture and everything that. And, one of the things I want to talk about to start is culture. And Liz, one of the big trends is, people talk about, the culture and what it is and what you guys have done at CHG. Can you talk a little bit about, right, flying people out to the corporate office and kind of how they start with building the culture really before they're building anything else?
Absolutely. So we are really big on hiring for culture. And what that means is we align with every interview based off of our core values. So a couple of those core values are putting people first, integrity and ethics, quality and professionalism. So when we bring someone in through the recruiting process, we're making sure that they are first and foremost a core value match. So it could be a recruiter that we're bringing in. They could be a top recruiter at another company, but if they don't align with our core values, they're not going to be a good fit. So we hire first based off of core value or culture fit, and then secondly, based off of experience or transferable skills. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. So I also have one of the other panelists that's trying to get in right now. Lynette, if you look at the link that you have a separate link. You're in as a guest right now. Look at the link that just got sent to you here. I'll resend it to you. But while we're doing that, Nicole, as a recruiting firm, right, you have to know a little bit about the culture of the company. Can you tell us how do you look for matches? Do companies talk to you about what they look for? Can you tell us a little bit about the culture on your side of things?
So we do a lot of conversation with our clients up front to find out what is a good fit within their culture of their organization. And we do talk about what their culture looks like what is it the first week that a candidate starts? What does that look like? What's the training look like? Who are they meeting with? And we go through a whole questionnaire about, each individual core value, as Liz had said, that they're looking for. One of the biggest things that we ask them is we want to know your best employee. We want to know who your best employee is, who fits into your culture, and we want to interview that person. We don't want to match them because we want people to be different, but we want to match the characteristics. And so culture is extremely important on our side of things to make sure that we have retention.
All right, perfect. That's great. Daisy, do you have anything to talk about on culture? All right, let's go on to the next question then. Okay. We see it a lot now, and I see it more, and we do it as well, but I see it more now where candidates or companies on their social media pages are recognizing the people that work for the company. Nicole, what do you think about that, right? How do you feel recognizing candidates, how they're doing it? How do you think that helps in recruiting?
Are they're recognizing their current employees? Is that the?
Yes.
I think that for a candidate that's looking for recognition and accolades within their organization, I think that that's a huge piece to being able to recruit and saying, hey, my company at least gives me a pat on the back or, shouts out. I can also see it as a negative for some people who don't want that kind of recognition, who don't want, they just want to go in and do their job. They can maybe be a little uncomfortable for that, but the generation that we're working with now, you definitely see them wanting that pat on the back way more than not.
Okay, perfect. Liz, anything, do you guys do that there at CHG or no?
Yeah, for sure. So we are very engaged culture. We do recognize and celebrate a lot of little wins. In fact, to Nicole's point, some people don't fit the mold. Some people don't want that much recognition. So they might not even be a good cultural fit for us if they don't like that recognition, or they work with their leaders to let them know, hey, this is how I'd like to be recognized. Maybe not in like a group setting, maybe one-on-one. So yeah, absolutely. I feel like most of the people that I speak with, when I ask, what are the top 3 things you're looking for? It's always that culture piece.
Okay. So a lot of people talk about, I want the culture, but how do you know, because culture is so important, how do you know they're the right cultural fit?
We do it based off of asking certain questions. And then for some of our sales teams, because we have multiple divisions, so we have Weatherby that we recruit people who recruit physicians, RN network that recruits nurses. For our Weatherby division, we actually use a company called Talent Science, and they have to do an assessment. And within this assessment, it determines whether they're a cultural fit for the role.
Okay. So you use assessments to try to do it. How important do you feel assessments are?
Me personally?
Yes. You personally, right?
So we have been doing it probably for the past 2 years. We're finding that people who do score higher do better in the role. So I do think they work for sure.
Okay. Nicole, do you use assessments?
We do use assessments at our client request. We recommend them for certain roles. Some roles, I don't believe that they play a vital role in the pigging. So if you're spending $250 for a $13 an hour employee that the position turns over a lot, you're not really getting a lot of value out of that assessment. But for your higher level positions, I definitely recommend them. Just take into account that not everybody is a test taker and can be highly stressed by assessments. So you may not get the adequate picture of what the candidate is capable of.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense right there. It's, some people love them. Some people don't love them. It's a, hold on a second. All right, Lynette, I just promoted you. I figured out how to do this right through the system. So you should have it right now to panelists. Okay. Assessments can be really good. Like you said, I feel that some people out there aren't good at taking assessments. They can fill that, but they're a great fit for other things. So, all right, Lynette, welcome to the stage. Sorry about that thing. I call me a rookie on Zoom. I don't know. We use our internal video on a lot of things, but welcome, Lynette. Just give me a quick 30 seconds of who you are, what you do real quick so that all these people know why you are one of the panelists here today.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I work for Manpower here in South Florida. We're actually one of the global staffing and recruiting leaders in the workforce arena. And we've been here for 74 years. My territory is Palm Beach County, which is highly, highly diverse. We have the backing of our North American operation as well as our global operation. So we get a lot of information, not only drilled down from the state level, North American, but also finding out what's going on globally is really, really interesting and could potentially impact us at any time. And so with the backing of our business intelligence operation, we're really successful here throughout South Florida. And I appreciate the opportunity to share my knowledge with you.
All right. Thank you, Lynette. So I'm going to let you jump in, right? You heard a couple of the questions. Do you guys use assessments?
We do actually. We encourage it in today's day and age. The market is highly competitive. People are looking for the best talent available. And in order to produce high quality candidates that it fit exactly what your client's looking for, assessments are important. Not everybody is a great test taker. So it's also important to have meaningful conversations and drill down to, what are people looking for both on the candidate side as well as the client or employer side.
Okay, perfect. Thank you on that. Another thing is people we're seeing a lot out there is about, right, team interviews. Okay. What do you guys feel? Daisy, we haven't really heard from you. Can you take it off mute? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All
Sorry.
right, Daisy, I'm gonna start. Yeah, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Team interviews, hot or not?
They are, and they're actually pretty important for us. Some of a lot of our clients and also our workers that we pretty much come through, they do check our reviews before like actually getting in contact with us. So that has been very, very important for us at the point of recruiting.
Okay, perfect. Lynette, hot or not, team interviews?
So I've had a couple of people ask me if we encourage them, and it really just depends on the work situation and what they're looking for. I would say higher level positions, absolutely not. If you're looking to potentially fill a call center or perhaps shipping and receiving or things like that, I really think it depends on the culture of the atmosphere there at the business, but it also depends on who would do well, because you'll have people outshine your other talent where they may have that quiet confidence that you need for that specific position. So me personally, I will always be consultative and frown upon a group interview.
Okay. You know what? I'm the same with you, Lynette. I don't love group interviews. I like projects. We can get into that in a minute, but I'm not a huge fan. Nicole, what about you? Hot or not?
I would say right now as a trend for 2022, it's definitely not. 15 years ago, that was all the rage when I worked at Babies R Us and Toys R Us as an HR supervisor. That's all we did was group interviews. But right at this moment, it is just not something that you're going to see pick back up anytime in the near future.
Okay, got it. Liz, last one. Are you staying with the trend or are you bucking the trend?
So team interviews, I will say, are not hot. What I will tell you that has worked really well for us, because we hired close to 1,000 people last year. We do hiring events. So we start off initially in a group, especially when we're looking to hire for a certain division or a certain position. And then we'll break them off into Zoom one-on-one with a leader to interview. And we have found they're extremely efficient and effective. So we'll do, for instance, I had one this morning for our credentialing team. They'll come in, we'll do like a fun fact, break the ice, make it fun for them for the first 15 minutes. Then they go into a 30-minute Zoom, one-on-one with a leader, another 30-minute Zoom. And immediately after that, we do a feedback session via Zoom. Are you yes on the candidate? No. And a couple bullet points why. And then we wrap up our recruiting in the same day. So
I second Liz on that. I think that sounds perfection.
Yeah, group interviews, right? It changed, right? The world has changed, right? Like we see some people, kind of commenting in there too is, right, Zoom. We all know we love Zoom. Some people love Zoom, some people hate Zoom. It's the same with Teams, it's the same with Skype, it's the same with all of us. Me personally, I'm not a Teams fan. I like Zoom, or I like our internal, but that's me. But, as that, and now, Amazon's coming out with Chime that some people are switching over to be able to do that, is you can do that in a little more effective and efficient way. Now, we're going to go back to pre-COVID. Okay. How many of you did Zoom? And Lynette, I'm starting with you on this one. How many of you did Zoom interviews or video interviews pre-COVID compared to, well, we all know we do not. How many of you did Zoom previously, before COVID?
I'm going to say Zoom was not a prevalent player in the recruiting and retention or fact-finding arena. I think that not a lot of people used any type of online language or vehicle to communicate in general, as well as, with your employers and your candidates.
Okay. Did anybody, Liz, Nicole, Daisy, did any of you use Zoom or video before COVID?
We did.
Okay.
We're fully remote HR and recruiting firm. So everything that we did has been over video, Zoom. We've done very few in person for our specific office. Now we schedule them for our clients in their offices if they're closed, Teams as well. So we've always been Zoom and video, or Zoom and any type of video conferencing. So it was a very easy transition for us.
So you had that easy transition. A lot of these other people had to switch almost overnight to going, right? And, a lot of, know my story of, putting on in-person job fairs for 9 years and then switching to virtual back in 2018, testing it out, not finding what I liked. In 2019, when I said I was going 100% virtual, no more in-person events, people thought I was crazy. People, I announced this at a LinkedIn local event in December of 2018. I said, there's no more in-person events. We're going 100% virtual. And everybody started laughing at me and said, virtual will never be out there. And now I like to say virtual, right? Especially our platform. I like to say we're the 3 E's. We're easy, efficient, and effective. And everybody is seeing, right? Take Premier Virtual out of it. But you see now you're using Zoom. When in-person comes back, how many of you are going to continue to use Zoom or video in some aspect? Liz, what do you think?
Our primary is to have someone come into the office so they can see the people they would be working with. They can see the on-site gym. They can see the on-site medical facility. They can interact. They can see the desk and the raised desk and kind of the environment. It was much easier to recruit before when we could bring people into the office. So it's a little challenging to really show the culture through Zoom. So I think if COVID went away tomorrow, we would be 100% back to the office with maybe a little bit of Zoom, because I think they're a little bit more open to remote. We were not open to remote at all prior to this. So we've come a long, long way where they're flexing a lot more with the work from home and remote.
You guys have had to, right? And again, knowing that culture, seeing that office that you guys have there, that was a big thing, right? Bringing people in, letting them see that. And it's a little bit different, right? And that's going to kind of lead into my next question is, on Zoom, on your video interviews, how are you kind of making a humanizing that connection? Nicole, you've been doing it the longest, so can you kind of touch on that first? Is, how are you humanizing that connection over video?
I think it's remembering that or keeping in mind that you are still talking to a human just because it's over the screen, and keeping the same conversational style that you would in person. You don't have to become a big suit and tie person because you're behind the camera. And with our candidates and the people that we interview for our clients, we do icebreakers. We talk about we still keep it human. We don't just get straight to the point and have those conversations right off the bat about, well, what's your ideal job? So I think just remembering that there are still 2 humans on the call or on the video, and it's not like, they call them keyboard warriors or anything like that. It's still a human, and to act the same way that you would if somebody was sitting in the room with you. And that's what's been highly successful.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Daisy, with you and the types of recruiting that you guys do, going to that, have you guys switched over to the video interviews?
Well, yes. I mean, after COVID, I guess we will go back to normal with no Zoom interviews. We used to have a lot of people coming to the office. It was easier. It was more, they will trust more the process when they will come in person. Now, it's a little harder through Zoom or doing applications online, putting in their informations in the system. For a lot of our candidates, they come mostly like from Miami. They don't trust, they're mostly Hispanic, and they don't really want to deal with putting any information online. They also still during COVID, they prefer to come to the office, give me an appointment. We can be a couple of feet like far from you, but we'd rather coming in. So I think post-COVID, if COVID will stop tomorrow, we'll definitely go back in person.
Okay. So I've heard two things right here, and I got to touch on this. Liz said it and Daisy kind of said it. If COVID stops tomorrow, okay, I won't get into all my thoughts, but right, I think we see the media, we see a lot of things out there. COVID's not going anywhere. There's going to be a new variant. There's going to be changes. I mean, we see, you know, the messages that are coming through, right? Hybrid work is here to stay, you know, having people be able to work there. It's if. I don't think, unfortunately, there's going to be an if. I think it's going to continue to go. And that's where a lot of organizations are kind of putting that hybrid model in. So when you're looking, who's up? We'll say Nicole, the hybrid model, right? Are you seeing a lot of the hybrid model from the organization side? Is that a must out there right now? Or is it kind of a, hey, I'd like to take my company remote? What's your thought on that?
Well, I think it depends on the industry. There are certain industries that you're absolutely not going to be able to do hybrid. Like you're just not. The medical industry is one of them. Like you just, for hospitals, their nurses can't be fully remote or hybrid remote in a hospital. But I believe that companies that aren't adjusting to a hybrid model are going to lose out on a lot of talent. They're going to lose out on talent from other states, talents from other countries, talent that could come into their workplace and actually change and make impact in their organizations by not switching to some sort of hybrid model. In industries that are able, technology, there's no reason technology couldn't be fully remote or hybrid. Like there's just no way that Google and all those companies have proven it over the last 2 years. So I just think that, you know, companies really have to take a look at their business model. And if they want to retain and keep top talent, they're going to have to shift to that hybrid.
Okay. Lynette, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say going off of what Daisy and Nicole said, you know, you really have to look at what type of positions you're recruiting and staffing for. So, you know, you have different levels of people. Let's take veterans for instance. You know, we have veterans that may not be socially savvy or have any type of technical skills to be able to do that. So depending on what type of position you're staffing for, your construction and skilled labor type of positions may not be readily available or willing to join some sort of online format. So keeping it hybrid as far as your recruiting efforts and the way that you're helping onboard is going to be really important. So to be versatile, to stay active and relevant in the community with what Nicole just said is absolutely true, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think, you know, to kind of go on top of that too is, you know, obviously our company puts on virtual events, and you could see there's some people out there that do not like virtual events. They do not virtual hiring events. They want to be as far away from them as possible. Right. And it's the same thing as, right. I hate to use this word, but right, like people used to use the bad word of multi-level marketing, right? And job fairs came into that negative connotation as well. And some of the virtual events, some people don't like, right? And I'll say to people kind of in a joke is it the virtual event you don't like, or is it the platform that you're using that's not making effective and efficient, right? Because that's where I'll kind of say, you know, what is the platform that you're using and how are you using that platform, right? Because a lot of people say, well, Steve, Zoom's your competitor. And I'm like, well, Zoom's only one aspect of what within our platform that's there. It's not really designed for big job fairs, right? Zoom is designed for webinars like this, one-on-one breakout sessions, and it's phenomenal at that. But there's a lot of different things that are out there. But what we're seeing out there and the trends from our side is you have organizations that won't let their people travel. You have organizations that say, we're not going to spend the money. And I don't care if it's a job fair, if it's a trade show, whatever it is, they don't want their people to travel. They don't want their people to go in public. So they're not going to let them. And then you also have the attendees that say, I don't want to be in a group of people. I want to stay home. I want to keep my mask on in my house. I want to keep my mask on when I'm in my car because I don't want to be around anybody. I don't care that I'm on 95 going 80 miles an hour. I'm keeping my mask on because I don't want anything to touch me. Those people aren't going to go to an event. Those people are only going to go virtual. Okay. So if you go in person, you lose those people. Then you have the people that say, I don't want virtual. I can't stand virtual. I want nothing to do with that. I only want to be in person, right? Like Daisy, you just said, there was people during COVID are coming into the office. If you go virtual, you lose those people. So having the hybrid model gives you the ability to not lose anything. Liz, there was just a question for you in the Q&A was, do you feel that you're going to lose some of your candidate pool by only going back in person? And that's something that I think people need to kind of think about is what do you lose by only having one aspect instead of having both aspects? Liz, you want to touch base on that?
Yeah, I don't think that we've gotten there yet. I know initially when we went into working remote, like everybody did when COVID first hit, they were not open to hiring remote. Then they started to say, hey, this is working. So we still have, I would say 75% of the company is open to it, where the other 25% is not. So I don't know what the long term is going to look like. I know a lot of the teams that I speak with, they want to have maybe 50-50. They'll do 50% remote, 50% working from the office. So they don't want to have we don't want to become 100% remote company. I know that's our ultimate goal, but I absolutely agree with you. Since they've opened up remote just for payroll positions, credentialing, for recruiters, it's opened up so much more talent. And not to say that South Florida doesn't have a lot of talent, because it does. It's just opened up our talent pool. It's been absolutely incredible.
Okay. Now, and this can be kind of anybody can jump onto this. Are you seeing organizations when they hire somebody, they start them in the office for the first 30, 60, 90 days and then give them the option to go remote, or do they go remote immediately?
I can answer. Go ahead, Nicole.
I think for us, it's about 50-50. Some of our clients are like, we'll just keep them remote. And then the other half of them are like, no, we want them here for a certain amount of time. Let's see how they work. And then it's basically a privilege to be able to work from home.
Okay. I love that, right? Because I think, you can manage somebody if you manage by numbers real easy right now. I can see how much time they're on the phone. I can see if they're on Zoom. I can see it. So realistically, you can manage somebody from virtual, but you're not getting that true feeling of what do they do all day at the office? Next thing I want to talk about, and this can be a subject people can either love or they can hate. Okay. An article came out a few months ago about ATS systems and how there's, tens of thousands of people that are qualified for jobs, but they get blocked in the ATS because they didn't have the right wording or something kicked them out. What do you feel, Lynette, I'm gonna throw this one at you to start, is what do you feel about that whole ATS kind of blocking people that could be the right fit?
I think that you have to market yourself in many different ways. And so just relying on one way to kind of put yourself out there, there's so many different social, and I'll stick with social because LinkedIn is considered social, but it's more business oriented. But there's so many vehicles out there, ways to promote yourself, ways to get across, to let employers know that you have skills and that you're looking. And so you have to remain versatile with the way that you approach something and not rely on one focus or one source.
Gosh, I love that. I mean, that is, and I'm on a podcast tomorrow, and when they did the pre-thing today and they asked me some questions to talk about, that was one of the things they talked about, is a candidate going out there, and how many candidates go out there and just hit the apply button and they expect to hear back. I applied, right? I just clicked on 50 things on the job board. I put my feet up. I'm back watching Jerry Springer. I applied to 50 jobs, but they don't do anything else. You know, this is one of the things I'm talking about, is to go out, right? Try to connect to these people on LinkedIn, do other things, because you don't want to focus on that ATS. Does anybody else want to touch base on that ATS? Or I can move on to the kind of one of the next things.
Well, I think it also is some of the responsibility on the employer side to understand the settings of their ATS and understand, where to go to find those applications, because they're in the system somewhere. So I think from the employer side of it, you have to understand and be trained on your ATS to go looking for, and I guess that's just the recruiter in me, is to go look for the applications that are there. If you know that there's an issue, why aren't you searching further in your ATS to find those candidates?
Yeah, and that's to touch base on that. There's a recruiter that I've known for a long time. And I remember one time I got a phone call from her, and she said, the people that I'm with at the organization, this was a long time ago, I'm out there hunting for people. What you're talking about, Nicole. I'm looking in the ATS, I'm looking at that. Dude, but so many people at the organization that I'm at just rely on what comes in from the job boards. Mm-hmm. And if it comes in through the ATS or the job board, that's what they look for. That's it. But they don't hunt it, right? There's a difference of recruiters that are going out looking and the ones that just sit back and kind of say, I'm just going to wait on what comes in on job boards. Now, I'm sure all of you guys use some aspect of job boards that are there. Daisy, I'm going to ask you on this question, and then I'm going to go to Liz. On job boards, first, Daisy, do you use job boards at all?
We do.
Okay.
Job boards, like you mean like ZipRecruiter, Indeed.
You use them all. Now, have you seen a drop in the number of people applying on job boards?
Yes.
In the last year than what, 2 years ago?
Yes, a lot. It has been going down a lot. Now it's more like we have to go source for them than them sourcing for us at this point.
Absolutely. Liz, I know your answer, but can you kind of touch base on that?
Yeah, we do a lot of sourcing, and I would say our main way of sourcing is through LinkedIn. We just haven't seen a lot of return on investment with the other job boards. So yeah, and especially for our sales or recruiting teams, it's all LinkedIn and going out and sourcing. And we do get a lot of referrals. So that's luckily we get those. Those are the easy ones.
Yeah. Now, referrals, do you guys, and Nicole, and I'm going to throw this to you guys first, referrals from internal candidates? Is that your organizations as being like a recruiting firm? Do you guys have something like an internal thing, or do your organizations have anything with referrals to try to bring in candidates?
Yeah, we offer a referral bonus of $700. Sometimes it goes all the way up to $1,500 depending on the need. And then emails are sent out. So we're always communicating referrals. And then if people like to work there, so they do refer.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. What about you, Lynette? I see you shaking your head.
I would say referrals are very important, but also equally important is being active in your community as an employer, as a recruiter, being able to know who to call to source whatever it may be, whatever type of talent, or making those connections are important. And it's important to be active in your community so you know how to and where to source those opportunities.
Okay. Nicole, you want to touch base on that at all?
We do. We go by referrals. I get resumes on a daily basis from people. Hey, can you find this person a job for me, or can you do this? So referrals are a huge part of referral applicants are a huge part of what drives our business.
Yeah, and I think you see that a lot out there, because if people are happy with where they work, they talk about where they work. And you know, when you're talking about it within your circle of, you know, friends or acquaintances, and you know, everybody now has so many more friends than we had when I was growing up, because you have all your friends are real friends on social media. So as you're posting out there, right, there's more people. Now, Daisy, you guys that expand there do some crazy stuff, right? Eli is amazing, right? He's, you know, big on social media and stuff like that. Branding, right? The trucks, the everything like that. What do you guys do? Do you guys do any kind of referrals and stuff like that with the people that are working with you?
We do referrals depending also on the positions, but we do try doing referrals. We do try Eloy's crazy ideas. He does come out with some stuff that it's completely interesting, but it does work, like just throwing his truck out there and offering bonuses. He celebrates people's birthday. He goes to the warehouses himself. He comes out with very good ideas, but referrals are very important for us, definitely 100%. We do get a lot of our workers now, and now more that we're like in high demand, from referrals from other workers.
All right, thank you. This next question is something I posted on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago. And this is a hot topic that we see out there with social media. And it was very interesting, some of the comments that I received back on there. You know, I won't put my personal thoughts, but social media is public access to everything out there. Now, that's LinkedIn, that's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's like Zach likes to call it the TikTok. We got out there is you're recruiting somebody. Do you look, or I shouldn't say do you, because I don't want to, in case anyone has this, is it acceptable to look at their social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn? And if you don't want to answer that, I completely understand, because I know there's some people that it's a very testy kind of subject out there.
You're asking me, Steve? I didn't catch.
I'm asking kind of anybody on that one, because I know it's there's that fine line of is it acceptable?
Legally, I feel like legally you're not supposed to. And Nicole could probably answer that question the best, since she is more HR than I am.
So I think I actually was in your comments on that topic. And I think I kind of went with battled a couple people on that topic.
It's a hot topic, right? Like, I don't steer away from.
So I will tell every employer on here right now that the courts have not sided with the employer in any case to date, that an employer has not hired somebody based on their social media. So I'm just going to put that out as the first step. The second step is, or the second part of that in recruiting, if it is not relevant to the position, why are you looking for it? If somebody is a social media marketing, their whole entire job is going to be on social media, yes, ask for their consent to look at their social media. You want to know how they handle their followers. You want to know how they do, what they post. But if it is not relevant to the position and it does not meet and have any need in their position, I would stay away from it. We've actually fired 3 clients for right off the bat, because we give them a candidate and they go find them on Facebook or whatever, and then they come back and say, you know, we're not hiring, we looked at them on Facebook.
Okay.
And so from a legal standpoint, I mean, if somebody doesn't know you do it, they don't know you do it. But if somebody finds out and you have made a hiring decision based off of social media, you will not win in court as of right now. So that's the HR side of me that's giving you that information.
And I love that, right? That's why, like, I don't steer away from that, because I know that there's organizations out there that the first thing they do is go. Like I used to be an advisor on a fraternity, and I said to him, don't post stupid stuff, different words, on social media, because companies go out and look at your social media and they may not hire you because you posted stuff on there. And I would tell them to do that. And now I know, right? You're not supposed to, but how many people, how easy is it on Facebook to go out, or Instagram, or whatever the new one's going to be out there, to look at somebody on their situation? Okay. Anybody else want to touch base on that, or stay away from it? All right. I know, again, it's a fun one. The one I will stay away from, right, is kind of the diversity, stuff like that. There's people out there, and I know we see it out there, is truly be, how can we make sure that we do not make judgments based on race, religion, or anything else out there? And my personal thing, the only way to ever take that 100% out is to have blind interviews and voice mufflers. It's the only way, right? Because if somebody, right, male, female, that over the voice. If you want to do that, the only way to ever really be like that, and we'll never be able to do that. I know there's some job boards out there that kind of take away a lot of the main things out there, but I truly believe that that's one thing. I know we got a bunch of questions that are going to be in here, but the last thing I want to talk about is really balancing technology versus kind of traditional methods. And the big thing is I want to talk about video resumes or video interviews. The ones that are out there, and some people call it a video resume, some call it a video interview, where they're asking some basic questions out there. What is your, Daisy, I'm going to start with you on this one. What's your thought on video? We'll call it the video resume.
Well, it depends. Depends what kind of position we're looking for. But on that, I do prefer like the regular traditional resumes, because we do hire mostly in person, how I said before. I mean, maybe we can accommodate. I know Eloy likes getting everything virtual and moving more towards the future. So I guess it will be a good thing, but nothing that we're like thinking of doing now. No.
Okay. Lynette, do you guys use video?
Video resumes are interesting, and I think that it's important for people to show who they are. Several of our clients are looking for a specific type of candidate, not only a skill set, but let's say that they're in a customer service focused position where they're greeting or liaising with a certain clientele. A look and a feel and a personality is going to be important. So I think more and more we're seeing candidates advantageously put together their resumes, not only with a headshot, but in addition to sometimes a video as well, accompaniment.
Absolutely. Nicole, what about you?
I think you toy on a line here with diversity and inclusion and doing video and headshots and things like that. I think you kind of move into the same part of going onto social media. It took me 5 years to be comfortable behind a camera. And I'm sure that it takes most people comfortable, or it takes them a long time to be comfortable. So if we're judging a candidate based off of their resume video, that there may not be as comfortable being behind the camera, or by Zoom interviews even, I think that we're just playing a line of missing skilled workers that could potentially be a good fit, but they're just not comfortable on video. And if their job isn't going to be on video, I mean, why are we asking for a video resume? So I think you're just kind of toying a line there on diversity and inclusion.
We don't request video. I just want to say we've seen more and more people advantageously offer a headshot on their resume and a video accompaniment. And especially with your company, Nicole, I mean, you're almost all virtual. So having an online presence or doing your Zoom interviews, as you indicated, is part of your business practice, isn't it?
It is, but when we send over resumes, we don't send over videos or headshots or anything with our resumes. We base it solely off of skill and what's on there. And then if our client wants us to move forward, then we move forward with the Zoom interviews on video. But as an upfront way to get information on a candidate, we steer away from anything that could have violate DE&I and things like that.
Yeah, and I see there's one in a comment on here about DEI groups suggest not to have their photo, right? And I always said back in, when I was putting on the in-person job fairs, I don't like resumes to have my address on them, right? You can have the city, but not the full address. And I looked at it a little bit different is, especially if you're female, why do you want to have your address on? Because you don't know that person that's applying to you. One, they can look at it and say, maybe they don't live in a great area, or maybe this person, again, having your address on a resume, I think is old. I don't think anybody really suggests that too much anymore. Liz, do you want to talk about, do you guys do video or do you use a platform that has video questions or anything in?
We do not. In fact, I'm curious to see what one of these video interviews look like, because I have not seen any sent over to me. What we do in some of our divisions, though, we will have them do a role play where one is the nurse and the nurse recruiter, or we'll have them leave a voicemail as part of like an additional assessment. But other than that, no video interviews.
Okay. Talking about the video resumes and videos back, 8 years ago when I was in the in-person job fair world, it became really popular for a short period of time. There was 3 companies here in South Florida that all did video resumes. So people could go in and they could talk about themselves for a little bit, talk about their job, do anything. A couple of them had where you could answer some questions. And I was on a board of directors for a job board and they wanted to do video resumes. I said, it doesn't work. These 3 companies just went out of business, and it was all within a year. So within a year, these 3 companies started and they all went out of business. Quick.
I think you limit yourself. I wouldn't want to do a video interview. I would be scared. I can't.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is some people don't want to, but if you see it now, it's gone, it's picked up again. Why? Because technology has changed, right? Our world has changed. If we go back 2 years ago, and Liz, you touched base on this, a little bit is, it was all about culture, bringing people into the office and stuff like that, seeing all of that. How many companies, Facebook, Google, all of those mandatory had to come into the office? Now, how many of those said you can work from home, remote forever now? Because people are seeing you can get as much work done. I mean, how many people out there were single moms, were single dads, were, a husband and wife where they both worked, they both had kids, and they had to work during COVID and they were getting things done. We've all been on a call now recently, or maybe not recently, but we've all been on a call where suddenly a kid jumps on the screen, or a cat or a dog, and even during COVID, I went to the office every day because my 2 kids, I love them to death. Hey, you see them behind me. This is why I have those pictures, is to humanize myself. Just when we talk about humanize, is I love pictures of family in the back because it shows here I'm a human and here's who I am. But my kids like to be on the screen. People got work done where before they said you could not get work done, right? The world has changed where people can now work and they're using technology. I like a video resume. I don't think you can look at, you could say, I can watch these videos instead of me bringing in, 3 interviews a day. I can go through and I can watch video interviews. We actually built a video interview into our platform. Now, what we did is a little different is we actually made it agnostic questions. So they're telling us, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you looking for? Why should somebody hire you? So it doesn't matter if somebody's looking to be an astronaut or flip burgers at a fast food restaurant. Those questions can go, and it's not mandatory. I think a lot of these things you have to make it not mandatory, because if somebody, Nicole, you touch base on it, and Liz, you just said it, you don't want to be on camera, right? Or people don't want to be on camera. You don't have to be able to do that. And not every job they want, right? Some jobs, they want to be able to have that that's out there. So let's jump. One thing before we go here, we got 5 minutes left. Nicole, I'm going to start with you. What do you think are the 3 hottest things that people need to do in 2022? Because we all know what you did in 2019 is different than recruiting today. What do you think? Actually, let's just give it your number one, because we only got about 5 minutes left. What do you think your number one thing is that people need to do different today in recruiting than they did in 2019?
Stop looking for completely skilled workers. Build a training plan, build a hiring plan, and hire someone that's less skilled than what you're anticipating, because there is a huge skill gap in the market and you're not going to be able to find top talent at your highest skill level. So the biggest thing that someone can do in 2022 is build a training plan, hire somebody with just a little bit less experience than they're looking for, and recruit that person and train them up where they need to be.
That's strong. Liz, let's go to you.
I 1,000% agree with you, Nicole. I'm probably one of the more open recruiters on our team. When somebody applies to my company and they don't have that experience, I want to know, why did they apply? Why? And I will say 9 times out of 10, they end up being a good fit, because I can find those transferable skills. I can find another role within the company. I think the recruiters who pass just by a glance of a resume and don't give them the chance, I know our time is valuable. So that's sometimes where I get stuck a little bit, because I might waste a little bit more time. But I think at the end of the day, what you said, Nicole, is like spot on. Like, we have to be open to everyone. And
Perfect. Lynette.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're seeing a lot of people in transition where maybe they've worked in a specific area or industry at one point in their life, and they're looking to make a change. And now is the time where there's ample opportunity to continue our education and to make that leap of faith with new employment opportunities. And I would say one of the most important things that employers can do when recruiting is to really look at the candidate and find out, have those conversations. What are they good at? What do they want to do? Maybe do a PI or some sort of analysis on them to match what their skill set is and what their desires are, because you want to be able to lead them to a path of success within, the industry that they want to pursue or they want to be in, as well as, place them successfully at your organization.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And Daisy, follow up with you. What is your number one thing that people need to do different today than they did in 2019?
Besides the training, I would say a healthy environment for the worker. Very, very important. Some of them are just not happy at work. If you make something different to make them happy at work, they will last there.
Perfect. Thank you. I just want to thank, Liz, Nicole, Lynette, Daisy. Thank you so much for taking an hour out of your time today. With all of these people, you guys, I could go on for another hour with things that we have with you four, but I kind of know it's time. But thank you for taking an hour out of your busy schedule. We really appreciate it. All of you are rock stars in your industry, and you guys do phenomenal things out there. And I could have asked for a better panelist on this today, this thing. So if anybody has any questions that we didn't get to during the event, you can always shoot me an email, Steve at Premier Virtual, and I can send out to the panelists so that they can, you can talk to them. They're all phenomenal. Again, thank you everybody for participating in our first webinar of 2022. It'll come out in an email here with the link to the video of this as well, so that you have the copy of that. And then we'll see you guys all at the next one, hopefully in February. And it was great talking with everybody. Have a wonderful day, wonderful week. Thank you again. Talk to you soon.
Hi, thank you.
Bye.